Yo, what's going on guys, it's Cynical and welcome back to another video. Today for you guys, I'm not exactly the bearer of good news. No, I am not. Kingdom Hearts on the Nintendo Switch. This is something that we've wanted to happen for quite some time, really ever since the reveal of the Switch and exactly knowing what it's all about, being able to bring forward console-based experiences into the palms of our hands. The idea of being able to play the Kingdom Hearts collection within a field of goats in the Himalayas is just so enticing to me. I need it to happen. And it's very clear that Square Enix do in fact have a lot of interest towards this system. Ever since its launch, these dudes have been pumping out their games left, right, and center onto this bad boy, even including a lot of remasters. So the hope and desire of KH making its way onto this system, the older games, 1.5 and 2.5 to be more so specific, has been a hope of ours that we've been holding on to for a damn long time. Especially even more so with seeing the upcoming Melody of Memory being released on the Switch, the very first Kingdom Hearts title to release on Nintendo in quite some time since Dream Drop Distance. A lot of us were thinking, well, maybe that Kingdom Hearts port is actually on its way. We've already seen the likes of Final Fantasy X and X-2 remastered on this system, as well as Final Fantasy XII, so what's not to say bring over the Kingdom Hearts games, baby? Well, due to some recent information, it seems like that ain't happening, son. So Nintendo enthusiast recently sat down with Tetsuya Nomura to talk all things Melody of Memory, but whilst doing so, they brought up the important question of, will Kingdom Hearts, the older titles, ever make their way over to the Switch system? This is what they had to say about it. Through a translator, Tetsuya Nomura confirms there are currently no specific plans for more Kingdom Hearts games on Switch. Square Enix did consider ports of existing games for Switch in the past, but found that it was technologically difficult. However, Nomura added that he believes Nintendo Switch is a very appealing piece of hardware, and he has always wanted to do something on this console. Additionally, while he cannot speak for games at Square Enix that he isn't associated with, Nomura did express that it is possible another game of his could come to Switch. So currently, there are no more Kingdom Hearts games planned for the Nintendo Switch, which I believe either means future or current present Kingdom Hearts games, but do keep in mind, this is currently. They do mention currently. Square Enix could always have a change of heart and things are always subject to change. Maybe 6 months down the track, Square might be like, alright, it's time. Bring forward that port. But the basis goes that as of right now, there are currently no plans. I think though, the most disappointing thing is Square Enix have already considered bringing forward these older Kingdom Hearts titles over onto the system, but ultimately decided not to because the task was too technologically difficult. Now, I'm gonna be 186% honest with you dudes, that right there is a cop-out. We have games like Doom and The Witcher 3, full AAA quality console experiences running on this bad boy. Well, yes, Kingdom Hearts 3 is a graphically pretty game, it really isn't the most graphically taxing game either. I honestly do believe that the Unreal Engine 4 based KH titles, with enough optimization thrown into the mix, could totally work on this system. Just like The Witcher 3 and Doom, they have suffered downgrades with being ported over onto the system, but that is the sacrifice you have to make in order to be able to take these experiences on the go wherever you want. When looking specifically though towards the older games, namely the ones on 1.5 and 2.5, those are basically just a collection of PS2 remasters, BBS being an up-resed PSP game. Those, without a doubt, even at 60 frames per second, would be able to work fine on this system. Now I do get it, every game is different when it comes to obviously porting it over to a console. Just because we've got the likes of Witcher 3 and something like Doom isn't to say that the same porting process is going to be needed to bring forward the Kingdom Hearts titles. Because obviously a lot of games run on a lot of different game engines. The architecture that the game is actually built on comes into play with a lot to do with the actual porting process. But what I wholeheartedly believe is if Square Enix really wanted to sacrifice enough time and resources into actually doing this, this could most certainly happen. Now, look, I get it. As of right now, the multiple different Kingdom Hearts teams are currently focused on priority number one, and that is progressing the series forward with the different current future installments. We have the upcoming Melody of Memory. We already know that there are a couple of other projects sort of under wraps, with one which sounds like it is currently in full swing development. So as of right now, their priority isn't really ports or remakes, remasters, but more so new content for the franchise. One thing that I have seen a lot of people bring up though is the storage side of things, that Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 specifically would just be too big on the Nintendo Switch. Now, 1.5 plus 2.5 comes in at 56 gigabytes, which, yeah, is pretty thick, though it does make sense. There is a lot of content packed into this package. I think the best comparison to bring up here, though, is a game that came out this year on the Switch, and that is the BioShock Collection. Now, over on console and PC, the BioShock Collection, which is BioShock 1, 2, and Infinite, with all DLC included throughout, comes in at 70 gigabytes. Over on the Nintendo Switch, they managed to cram this bad boy down to 46 gigs. The Witcher 3, that includes the 2 DLCs, comes in at 28.1 gigabytes on Switch. Normally, it's about 40. So you can tell the Switch compression is damn well impressive. And honestly, if 1.5 and 2.5 were to actually make its way to the system, I could honestly see them cramming it down from 56 to at least 40. On the upside though, Tetsuya Nomura did mention that at some point another one of his games may actually end up making its way to the system. Now, when I do think about Tetsuya Nomura games, specifically I either think Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy VII. Now, I don't believe the Final Fantasy VII remake is going to come to Switch. That would be badass, but I don't think it's happening. And yes, Nomura has worked on a numerous amount of Final Fantasy games, but honestly, I continue to expect more and more and more and more of the Final Fantasy catalog to continually keep releasing on this system. It's what Square Enix kind of loves to do. But steering away from Final Fantasy, I'm more so thinking either the Bouncer or Musashi Samurai Legend, two older era PS2 titles that honestly, I'd love to see get like a final remix extended version for a re-release on Switch. These are two games that I feel like deserve a little bit more love, specifically when looking towards the Bouncer, a really fun beat-em-up-esque thing. Well, I think there would need to be quite a lot of touch-ups and enhancements to which to make it a slightly better experience. I could most certainly see something like that being re-released on Switch. I think what's important though is don't take this news as the idea is just completely thrown out the window. That's that chapter over and done with. Close the book, boys. We're no longer getting the port. It's not happening. As it is mentioned in this interview, this is just the current thought process of Square Enix at this time. Things are always subject to change. I'd like to think that maybe Square Enix will actually have a change of mind once Melody of Memory ends up releasing on Switch, seeing how well a Kingdom Hearts game performs on this system. The current remasters and re-releases and stuff perform really well with the Switch, but I think they might want to check out exactly how well Kingdom Hearts does on this. It is strange though, Kingdom Hearts has always had a home on Nintendo, with Chain of Memories being on GBA. We've had obviously Recoded and Days on the DS, as well as DDD on the 3DS. So to a degree, I would like to see Kingdom Hearts return back to its second home, and to get the entire collection would just be, oh, so juicy. However guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions about this in the comments section down below. Slightly disappointing, I know, but let's just wait and see what happens. However guys, I'm Cynical, hopefully you're having a fantastic day, and I'll catch you dudes in the next one. Peace.